Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another episode of the Open-Minded Thinker Show. A very sad news and also a happy news here this lovely day. Obviously, yesterday I was scrolling on the internet and I saw a video of a young man. He drove to a place where Muslims were actually doing the dawah on the street. So there's a signpost there called the subway. I'm going to be showing you the video pretty soon for you to see things yourself. I know most of you may have seen it, but I intend to share this video because this guy that did this was taught a bitter lesson, because obviously majority of these guys that live in the United States and also in Canada are often very much aware of the reactions of some Muslims in Muslim majority countries to people who supposedly desecrate the Quran or insult Islam or Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I am not trying to say or defend anyone who does so, like insults the Prophet. It's really wrong. It's despicable. It's against, the principles of faith. Whether you're a Christian or you're an atheist, you've got to respect people's identity, respect people's way of life, respect what they hold dear, and avoid anything that would create tension. That's my own stand. But some of the ways some of these Muslims in Muslim majority countries react, obviously, to some of these problems are apparently very, very sad. Oftentimes you see people get people burnt, jungle justice, like what happened in Nigeria, where a lady who said people should start posting pictures or videos or religious things in the school WhatsApp group. She was guarded and was burnt alive. I think that is really a bad, example all over the world. The news went all around the world, and there's no way Muslims can defend that. It was barbaric. It was against, modernism. I believe that if somebody commits a crime, he or she should be subjected to a particular trial. If he or she is found guilty of committing an offense, then appropriate punishment should be meted out to the person. But in a situation where a group of guys, come together, get someone burnt, a lady for that matter, we'll start questioning their rationality. We start questioning how smart they are and really what they call their religion. So I think that's what makes some of these guys living in Canada, other part of the world, let's try this with these Muslims living with us here and see really what is going to happen. At the end, what happened surprised me.
Why do you guys think anybody wants to hear about your prophet? Huh? Muhammad's a bag.
At the beginning of this video, his problem wasn't about them preaching anything that's completely against the law, the faith, or his conviction. His problem is Prophet Muhammad, and that's really sad. Why is it that some of these guys hate Prophet Muhammad for crying out loud? Prophet Muhammad wasn't against anybody. He lived a life that was filled with grace. It was the Muslims, obviously, that preserved some of the books or some of the civilization we're enjoying today in the West. If not for the Muslims preserving classical, Christian and Greek and, Roman writings, I don't think most of the things we have today would have been, there. Because they took over Turkey, a place that was called Constantinople at that time. Unlike the Christian invaders that invaded that areas earlier, nothing was destroyed. Everything that made up the civilization today were preserved. So I do not know why this guy is taking on Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But let's see how it ended.
I don't have anything to say on that. I don't have anything to say on that. Does that make you happy?
He was obviously talking to them, and they were not interested in replying him. So what did he do next? He desecrated their books, and I think that's the Quran. While he was standing very far from them, there was something that happened that was scooping the drink away from the Holy Quran. While I discourage behaviors like this, I do encourage and congratulate some of these guys on the way they reacted. He wasn't confronted. They didn't fight with him. They didn't exchange insults. What do you think this guy that did this will be thinking now? But are you sure I'm not wrong? Why didn't they react? It might be the beginning of his own conversion. It might be the beginning of his own rethink about his life, because what might cause this is maybe excess drugs, frustrations, desperation, or a combination of all of them. So it's really a very good example set by these Muslims. They never confronted him. They just cut the wine, the drink away, and then stayed. I really encourage this.
Yeah, sometimes the best way to respond is not by directly confronting the people who are doing this. Sometimes you have to use more subtle means of getting your message across and bringing about change in society. If an incident like that happens, if you handle it the wrong way, it just blows out of proportion. And people become more, the conversation changes. People become now more interested in like the reaction than the original action itself. And then people
that's why they do it, right? Like that's why they burn the Quran. It's usually far right groups or individuals who are doing it. And they have an agenda, right? They want you to react in a certain way.
Yes, and then
Muslims comply.
Yeah, and then whatever they have done, just whatever message they were trying to draw attention to, just becomes more overblown, and their goals are met. They achieve their purpose that way. So we have to be wise as Muslims and recognize this to be happening. So. One thing that will help us to be wise is to recognize that it is the way of God that He has created such a world in which there will be positive messages and there will be its contrary. The Quran says, for example, in the 6th chapter, referring to what was happening with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the opposition that he was facing and so on. The Quran says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ. Thus, we have placed for every prophet an enemy that comes in the form of Satans from among humans and jinkind. يُوحِي بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ زُخْرُفَ الْقَوْلِ غُرُورًا. They will inspire each other with speeches of like decorated speeches. So the Quran is already acknowledging that God knows this is happening and He's allowing it to happen this way, and it will continue to happen in this way.
Let's leave it right there, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.